The U.S. Open seeds are out, and there's a lot of questions, a lot of criticisms of the seeding process. And let me start by saying the USA Wrestling is in a tough spot when they're trying to seed this tournament with so many different wrestlers, so many different results, so many different time frames to consider. Okay, and so when you're tasked with something that's really, really difficult like that, like seeding this tournament, and we think that it's important to seed the tournament well. If we're going to seed them at all, we should do a good job of it. Then there should be at least a consistent through line of process or logic that's sort of applied to all the weight classes, right? I think we could all agree that you should kind of be able to see a theme with a lot of these, and there shouldn't be a strong deviation from those themes, right? And I think you just see a ton of inconsistency throughout from top to bottom with these seeds. Now, before we get into the process, let's just get into some of the seeds. And a question I'm going to have you consider that I'm going to pose frequently is, what period of time are they actually looking at? And I think we could all agree they should probably look at the same period of time for everyone, right? Like everyone should kind of get the same benefit. You shouldn't be able to go back 4 years for someone and just 2 years or 1 year for other wrestlers, right? That makes sense. I just don't think that's what they did. So starting at 57 kilograms, this one sticks out, right? Zane Richards is the one, okay? Well, why does that stick out? Well, Nick Suriano has 2 tech fall victories over Zane Richards, right? Well, you'll say, well, yeah, but that was back in 2019. Okay, well, then if you can't go back in 2019 for Nick Suriano, why can you go back to 2019 for Spencer Lee? I'm not saying one is right or one is wrong. I'm saying you have to pick one. You cannot choose go back to 2019 for Spencer, and if you're going back to 2019 for Spencer, which I think is fair, you should consider the fact that not only was Nick Suriano in that bracket, but so was Zane Richards, and Spencer Lee won that. So maybe he should be the rightful one. But the bottom line is at 57 kilograms, and this is the question I'm going to be asking throughout, which periods of time are you considering? Because it's very obvious Zane is the one because he made the national team last year, okay? That makes sense. But it doesn't make sense that Spencer could be the 2 and Suriano the 3 based on that 2019 data point. And we'll get back to that. The biggest mess really is probably at 65 kilograms, where you got the guy who made it to Final X, the guy who won World Team Trials, Evan Henderson, sitting at the 2. And it's not because some 61 bumped up that was a whatever. It's Joey McKenna, who's in that very same bracket with Evan Henderson and didn't make it to him. He lost to Ian Parker. Ian Parker, who is, in my opinion, erroneously seated way, way lower, considering the run he went on at World Team Trials, placing at the Open and placing it really highly at the World Team Trials. I think McKenna over Henderson doesn't make sense considering what Henderson did. And if you look at other weight classes, like Zane Richards, for example, they clearly went with a guy, the national team guy who had the better finish at the trials, and gave him that benefit. But they didn't give that benefit to Henderson. I don't understand why. And now you can say, well, Joey beat Evan in 2022. Yes, that was before the World Team Trials, which Evan Henderson won. So I don't understand why Evan is punished or what the deal is there, why he's the 2. But we're just getting started at 65. You got Cole Matthews sitting at the 12. Now, at a glance, kind of makes sense. Yeah, Cole Matthews, good guy, U20. This guy made the U23 World Team, okay, over Ridge Lovett and Bo Bartlett. Ridge Lovett sits at the 5. Bo Bartlett at the 10, but Cole Matthews is behind both of those guys, right? That doesn't make sense to me. Cole Matthews should be seen significantly higher. Ian Parker should be seen significantly higher based on his Joey McKenna win. But they inconsistently apply a little bit of logic. Now you could say, okay, well, Ridge beat Kolodzik. Well, okay, well, that shouldn't put Kolodzik as high as he is because Kolodzik has lost to Bo Bartlett. So it's just a little bit inconsistent, really. And there's guys who are given the benefit of the doubt for strong performances, and some who are just sort of, that it's not as important. It doesn't matter that Cole Matthews made the U23 World Team over these guys. What's more important is this. Go to 74 kilograms, you see Keegan O'Toole gets the 4 seed. Keegan O'Toole's not wrestled at the senior level, right? That hasn't happened yet. We're excited for it. We think he can be pretty freaking good. Everyone does, right? 2-time NCAA champion. He just beat David Card in NCAA finals. He's awesome. Won Junior Worlds 2 years ago. And he gets the benefit, because of that Junior World title, he gets the 4 seed. And he gets that 4 seed over proven U.S. Open placers and proven senior level guys, Tommy Gant, Colin Puritan, and Josh Shields. And you say, well, yeah, but the junior world trumps that, right? Okay, fair. But let me just shoot to 97 kilograms where Ben Keeter, dominant junior world champ, right? Last year, a more recent junior world champ, because Keegan took last year off from freestyle. Ben Keeter sits behind who? Morgan Smith and Sam Mitchell. So Keegan gets the benefit, the junior world champ benefit, and gets seated ahead of much more proven senior level guys with Gant, Parrington, and Shields. But Keeter sits behind Morgan Smith and Sam Mitchell, who don't have a credential near the level of Ben Keeter's. They just, there's no argument other than they messed that one up. Mason Paris. This is a guy that does not get the benefit of a wider view of his credentials, right? This is the thing I was saying you need to look at, you need to consider, and it needs to be applied consistently. Well, Mason Paris, we'll give a little bit of his track record. 2021 Olympic trials, he beats Don Bradley, places high. 2021 World Team Trials, he makes the finals, beating Hayden Zimmer, who had beaten Don Bradley. Okay. He didn't wrestle last year, freestyles, recovering from injury, but he's outplaced him consistently. He's a junior world champ. He's an NCAA champ. And for everything, he's behind Don Bradley. So in some instances, those head-to-heads, however far back they were, put you above someone. But in Mason's case, he doesn't get the same benefit of even a Spencer Lee, who hasn't wrestled freestyle since 2019. So you ask kind of, how does this happen? Well, USA Wrestling trusts 20-plus coaches to do this. It's not really, there isn't a set process. There's votes, and there's like a pre-seed that comes out, and then they're voting, and you have coaches voting on weights where they don't even have athletes in it. They're not going to have that knowledge of the field, which is similar to why we were so critical of the coaches' rankings in NCAA. We said, hey, they shouldn't be doing this. They don't have they have agendas. Two, their job isn't to know the complete picture of all the results, right? And that's why you see a ranking that has Roman Bravo Young, who hadn't lost in years, ranked third, just because they weren't paying attention, right? So my suggestion here is you shouldn't criticize it. I think they just need to have an actual process and not just a seating meeting. I think seating meetings are good, and you can catch some glaring errors and you can bring things up. But I think USA Wrestling needs to commit to more of a process and less of just a massive committee voting, because as you can see, you can get some really inconsistent seeds.